Sonic Universe issue 74 reboot. Let me guess, Sally and Nicole will survive. There's no real tension here, even if Phage is scary. So I hope it's interesting, because it's just going to be Sally doing the same attack with the same weapon, and Phage wasting my time with pure evil dialogue from a cartoon villain. They protect each other, and Sally somehow didn't see Phage's menacingness coming. She tells Nicole to escape to her computer, wanting to get out via the digitizer, to shut everything down and take Phage with it. I'm guessing it won't be that simple and easy, because she'll sympathize with Phage for being so smart. And God forbid a universe arc only lasts 3 issues. Things weren't even clear enough in that action scene earlier for me to want to type about it. What is that energy being sent at them? Why does it make them react like they're being electrocuted and paralyze them? Is it just a solid hologram? It should look like a regular solid object then, not energy. These characters are functionally invincible anyways. Predictably, Sally asks Nicole what she's doing as she grabs her hand and flies away with her. Tails dodges a laser from the lake and gets threatened by Badniks. That could have just been 2 panels. Big throws a fishing line on Emerald and takes it. Unfortunately, it's lampshaded how skilled he is thanks to Tails, which makes it easier to accept. Nicole's upset that Sally put herself in danger and says that obviously she can't reach her computer because Phage. So Sally should have known this. She says that she didn't run because she couldn't stand the thought of leaving Sally to get hurt. Nicole said she doesn't even like fighting, and Nicole explains that in cyberspace, Sally could fly, but doesn't believe she should be able to. Sally says that she doesn't have time to retrain her brain like that. She tells Nicole to recreate the red star ring because she has a plan. Her plan was too confusing for me to care about typing it down. She runs into the green world with Phage and asks for Nicole's help, and plans on simply kicking Phage out, instead of surrounding her with a bubble like she trapped Jeffrey in, and then squishing her. So, Nicole creates a barrier around her to seal her way. The barrier could be circular and surround her. Why can't Phage just get rid of it? She even said she was more powerful than Nicole. The cyberspace is made of stuff that both of them can control, isn't it? This would be like trapping an ice mage in ice. It's like the writer wrote himself into a corner, having a fight between 2 AI that are all powerful in this place. After a lot of padding for fake tension's sake, where the plot barely progresses, when we could have just not had all that generic villain dialogue and seen Phage get fully trapped in one panel, Badniks start threatening Dr. E, and he puts the red star ring in Nicole's handheld device. This turns Nicole pink, and a text box calls her Overclocked Nicole. That's a long title, but I guess Super Nicole would sound cheesy. I already heard about this title ahead of time. Sometimes the art's just too hard to interpret. Finally, she kicks Phage out, making a steel door. Maybe this would all make sense if we were told that Phage can't do any kind of magic unless her arms aren't restrained, and Nicole restrains her arms. Then it makes sense that she can't just break herself free immediately. And the Badniks become nice Nicks again. Nicole says that Phage is weakened but still out there, because and is only shut out of the system. While it is better to have more threatening major villains than just Eggman, what is it with Flynn and having every villain that's exclusive to Sonic Universe survive at the end? Eclipse, Captain Metal, and Phage? It just creates loose plot threads that are probably not going to be resolved when the comic ends. Why can't comic books just kill off the unlikable villains? Phage isn't a really deep character. Captain Metal isn't a really deep character. They're interchangeable in personality. I didn't even enjoy Phage's fight in the slightest because it was so visually unclear. I'd rather she be throwing solid objects at the heroes that look like real objects. Not energy that I know can't work like electricity in the real world, or else the heroes would be as good as dead in one hit. Phage was scary, but that's it. She's all bark and no bite, smoke and mirrors. Maybe Nikki did reincarnate to Nicole if she's in Phage after all. Sally hugs Nicole, showing her appreciation. Tails says that he got a message from Rotor the next day, and reveals that he'll have to catch up to Sonic and Apotos. And a text box says that'll happen in issue 272. Sally thanks Dr. E again for the red ring, and turns out that the reason the red rings were forming was because there was a Chaos Emerald around. That doesn't explain it because Nicole looked at red rings as if she'd never heard of them before. If only an emerald was needed to make one, You'd think they'd have been seen plenty of times before from a combination of rings and an emerald being in one place. The dark eye energy explanation made more sense, because it explains why they only showed up now. I guess he's just wrong. He shakes her hand and tries to apologize for the things he said last night, and she forgives it right away, saying that they weren't in the right minds. Never mind the fact that I think the two of them would have logically been reacting the same way even without the dark eye energy. Sally would have been just as mad at him. He says he hasn't been fair to Nicole, and Sally lampshades that he should be saying that to Nicole. Good writing would have that indeed happen. She says that she's not saying that Nicole could ever replace his daughter in his heart. He doesn't respond to that properly, and instead says that it was Nikki's idea to make the internet a public database instead of a government one. That was unnecessary. He says sorry and that he needs more time to think, because heartwarming moments and proper resolutions are for chumps. Then Nicole walks away with Sally and says that she found old files revealing why she was created. Sally says that it wasn't Nicole's fault she didn't make it, and she wasn't even her then. She says that as an AI, her purpose was to scan out a neural network for her to adapt to, but never got the chance, and it was her who adapted to the scans instead of Nikki, so her potential for growth came at the cost of Nikki's life. She couldn't have existed along with Nikki, so she says that she understands if Dr. E didn't want to interact with her. So much dialogue! There was so much dialogue in one panel that I had to force myself to read it, especially since it's just recapping what I already know, and nothing else is happening than this. She's just restating it so it's made more clear, which she has to do because of how needlessly convoluted her backstory is. Time travel sucks, but at least future Rotor sent her to the past to help Sally is just one short sentence clause. He gives Nicole a red star ring, because apparently she wasn't given it to keep until now. She's confused because it's the last one and he's giving it up. He says that his lab isn't going to be up and running again for a while, so he won't have any time to study it himself, and she'll have an easier time analyzing it than him. And she's told to send him her findings. It's a magic ring. What could there be to study? It's pretty simple. It produces energy, like a battery. She thanks him. Too bad she doesn't hug him. But it makes sense that it'd be too awkward. I feel like the story is missing something because it doesn't reveal that Nikki reincarnated into Nicole. That would be his perfect excuse for actually wanting to be a father to Nicole and give them heartwarming moments. This world can have any kind of invention. I'm pretty sure they could make a detecting which soul's in which body detector if Eggman could change reality. It was stupid of Sally to not immediately anticipate that Nicole would want to ride the way back as an organic and feel the wind in her hair. If the red ring comes from emeralds, there's no excuse for not being this way a long time ago. That wasn't really focused on developing their friendship as much as I'd hoped. It just kind of reiterated the dynamic I already knew about. And I'd already been spoiled on Nicole's new backstory years ago. It's good, I suppose. But what was so wrong with Rotor wanting to make a really good computer so she could be a great friend to Sally? It's just an excuse to have another strained parental relationship for a Sad Am character. For the most part, Phage stole the show in this arc. A new computer virus villain who's obviously going to get defeated at the end. But I'm surprised she survived and was just sealed away. It's not even an organic being, so there's no excuse this time. It's not too dark. I guess only Nicole was capable of controlling and summoning things in cyberspace, and not Phage, despite the fact that Phage is connected to hundreds of systems. The fight with Phage was really unengaging because it was just throwing around energy. That energy didn't look immediately relatable like real stuff being thrown. So it wasn't that engaging and scary as a threat, because we can't relate to it. Maybe the camera view should have been more panned out to make it more clear what's going on in the fight scenes. Good thing Nicole's father warmed up to Nicole. And that's it. They get rid of Phage, the end. Nicole didn't just tear Phage apart for some reason, even though she can control technology and electricity. Oh right, Nicole went super, but I'd imagine her to be that capable anyways. She's always been an omnipotent goddess able to do whatever the plot demands. So this does nothing. It just turned her pink for no reason. It's not like she had been having any trouble sealing away Phage before she got powered up. So it's not like this was necessary to explain why a much more powerful virus got kicked out by her. Nicole was always more powerful than her. It should have been explained that she has magic, like from that ring always connected to her at least. Sally and Nicole's friendship was interesting. There's unique contrast between them. There's a lot of wasted time, like Phage should have just gotten kicked out in one panel, not all those panels. and I scrolled past the fight scene at the start as fast as I could. Phage in general visually bored me with her fights. So I'm not sure this issue is any better than alright. It's just stretching out a really basic plot to an entire issue. So most of it just bored me.